everyone. How are you, mate? Good. Uh, we've been streaming a bunch last little while here on the Beans, so it's good to be back. And it's been a little while since you and I'd streamed together, so I think we've got all the. Yeah. It's can't remember the last time we were in the booth for 6 straight hours or something, but yeah. My voice has recovered. It's okay. Yeah. Oh, man, Sunday night. I went to bed at like 9:30, which is like at least 3 hours earlier than I normally go to bed, and I was cooked. But, mm. I can turn myself up in the chat. Okay. Yeah, hang on. Is that a request or? Hey, DeBroom. Can't hear Cracker. Sing to us, Cracker. Give us some. Come on. Technical difficulties.
Always the way. What about now, people? Can you hear me now? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. There's a bit of a delay. Chewy, you can still hear me all right?
I can hear you fine, mate. Yep.
Great.
Can everybody hear Cracker?
Hey, there we go. All right, perfect.
Hey.
We got there.
All right, let's start that again.
Hey, everybody. So, Chewy and I were just saying how we haven't... Anyway, whatever. We're going to try something new tonight. First time I have done this with Chewy, bringing in his video. So that's fun. Can you turn Chewy up in OBS? I should be able to do that.
Clearly, you've streamed with me before and tried to turn me down. I'm used to being turned down. It's okay.
I got a couple of spots I can do that. Let me turn you up in here.
I can crank myself up in Discord if you like.
I'm doing that now. I'm just putting my...
Yeah, okay, cool.
Here. All right, let me know if that's better. So yeah, we've decided, given how much is happening the next couple of weeks in... Perfect. The next couple of weeks in Magic and what we're doing, rotation's coming up with this set. And we have limited time on the cast to chat about all the things. And so we go from like a month of just nothing to now having just like so much to talk about.
We're like making stuff up to talk about because like it's like we could talk about alchemy draft.
No.
Or we could make stuff up, which seemed much better. But now it's just like it never rains but it pours, right?
Feast or famine, right? So,
yeah, that's right.
So what we thought we'd do tonight is not streaming any gameplay. This is a just chatting kind of stream. We're going to go through the set mechanics for Dominaria United, which drops into this week. We're not talking about alchemy drafts, don't worry, Auto. And then we're going to talk about the limited archetypes and kind of how Chewy and I would approach looking at a brand new limited set. Now, we've looked at some of the cards, but we haven't looked at, like, I mean, when you get a new set, we kind of get excited by like the rares, the mythics, the bombs, right? The exciting, flashy things, you know, the new Praetors, that kind of stuff. But they're not what you get draft in and draft out. They're not what build a limited format. Now, Chewy and I have talked about draft on a couple of different evergreen casts in the past, but we thought we'd just have a look at this set in particular. Dominaria, the last set was amazing for draft. It was a really fun experience. I know you jammed a bunch of it too.
Yeah, well, I practiced a whole bunch because it was the draft at Nationals, the last time we had Nationals. So, rip. We tried to get in as much practice as we could, and particularly helped me. But it was a really really fun set where there was some drafts, some draft sets, sorry, like whole colors are just like unplayable and things. So there were certainly like good archetypes and things like that in the Dominaria set, like the artifact synergies and stuff were really good. But like every color was playable, every color combination was.
But I remember,
there
was like the black green like sapling deck, and there was just lots of different fun things you could get up to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the what did I open at Nats? There was like a 3/6 can't even say the word Sphinx that like drew cards when it did combat damage and stuff, and it was very, very good. So yeah, that won me games. But
so yeah,
this set looks super cool.
It does. So we thought we'd break down like how we approach understanding what's important in draft or sealed. We've got our one-day event coming up, not this Saturday, but the 10th. And so we thought we'd kind of give people a bit of a primer. Again, we haven't looked at the whole list. This is not like a full 4-hour LR set review kind of thing. We're not doing that, but we're going to look at the things that jump out at us. And so what I might do is click this button and transition over. Hopefully everyone can see this screen all right now. So this is literally the wizard site. So we're going to go through and start off by talking about the new mechanics. So
yeah, and we're not just going to like read it verbatim. We're going to
we'll discuss it.
Sort of try and sort of interpret or see how it translates into the into actual gameplay. And we're looking at this. We'll probably talk about constructed a little bit, but we're going to be focused on limited here for this particular stream.
Yeah, so a lot
but
of
I'm sure constructed mechanics might creep in a little.
Only hear cracker on the left. Oh man, every time.
Only hear cracker on the left. That's just the way that Cracker hears cracker as well.
No, it's the right. My left is the left.
It's the other one that's cooked. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Give me a second. I'm just having a quick look here.
So just while Cracker's doing that, so the what we're doing here is sort of going, we'll be doing something that we would do for any set that comes out, right? So if whenever a new set comes out every 3 months or whatever it is, and it's like, okay, gonna play some sealed, gonna do a few drafts, like what's good, where do I start? And so just going through our process of evaluation, first of a format, of color combinations, identifying archetypes, and identifying key cards around those archetypes, because any good, healthy, limited set could be, you just draft good stuff like core set.
Yep.
It's more about curve, power, toughness, removal, evasion, that bread principle. But in the quote unquote expert level sets, synergy plays such an enormous part. And look, I've had success with just power and toughness curve decks as well. Sometimes you just build a good magic deck. But yeah, identifying the synergies and then evaluating the power level of those synergies without actually playing a game is tough. Yeah. So this is kind of a first cut. And I'd be really interested to look back at this, in a month or so, and see what we got right and what we got wrong. But just we're not not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't draft, but we're just going to go through our evaluation process. So if you've got any ideas relating to what we're talking about, please jump in the chat and let us know, and we'll absolutely factor that in. And if it's different to what we are thinking, then that's a great topic for discussion, and we can learn from one another.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, like, we're not saying this is it and nothing else. This is about sharing our knowledge. But if you've got some knowledge to share with us and others hanging out in chat, then that's amazing. That's
sweet.
Something I'd love to see.
Yeah, for sure. So there is one thing that we will tell you to do, and that is draft the open colors. That is rule number one. All right, let's get into these mechanics. So the first one is called Enlist. So Enlist is one of the new keywords. I'll read it out as the card says here. So we've got, as this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature's until end of turn. So whenever Guardian of Dominaria enlists a creature, scry 2. So you can discard a card and give this thing indestructible until end of turn and tap it. So, man, lots of things to talk about, like on this card in particular. First of all, constructed, it's a rare, so like it's not a great example for limited, but it's the 2 mana 2/2 that just beats down.
Yeah, I wonder if this is good enough to play in Perhelion decks, but which is not how the card was intended to be played.
Free discard outlets are a real thing.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that it's the old version of like gaining indestructible and like tapping it. That feels like a real old school kind of.
Regeneration taps you no matter what.
Yeah.
Actually, at the RCQ, I blew up. I sacrificed the land that Blast Zone.
Yeah.
And my opponent had a mana up with Azuri, and they were playing against elves, and they sunk a mana to regenerate one of their elves, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's tapped because I had a Wormcoil Engine. I wanted to get in and check with the judge, and regeneration does make you.
Yeah, and you're right, Auto.
Tap your creature.
It is remove it from combat. Yeah, it was weird.
Even if it wasn't in combat, it still taps.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And so that's why they've kind of gone to indestructible now. But I like the kind of callback here to like OG mechanics, by with the tapping it, because indestructible doesn't always tap. That's just a thing they've added on this. Anyway, so enlist. Biggest downside I can see for this, particularly in limited, is you've got to have a creature that is not summoning sick, which is such a big downside, because now you're limiting yourself to an attack with a single creature instead of 2.
Yeah, and you're down a blocker as well. Correct. So I could see this being good in a go wide white based strategy, and if this is the archetype, this is what we're trying to enlist things, then we're going to look for token generation and things that make multiple bodies and things like that, or we're going to look for something that is like absolutely enormous, like a 7/3 or something that is just going to add huge amounts of power. And particularly if we can make this a 7 something, ways to give it evasion, and the way to get those multiple scries and that damage through, and then it protects itself, right?
Yeah, for sure. So a couple of other things that spring to mind around timing on this as well. It is during your declare attackers phase that you tap another creature, so it's not target attacking creature. You can't do it like post blockers before damage, or after blockers have been declared or anything like that. You do have to do it as the initial step. So you go, I'm going to attack with Guardian of Dominaria, I'm going to enlist using this creature here, and then you scry to, and then you move into combat step, and then blockers get assigned and all that sort of stuff. So timing is important here, particularly at pre-releases. If you're playing in paper, that may come up just around. It's a little odd. It's not like a normal combat trick and things like that. So for me, I'm going to start looking for, are there like big undercosted defenders with huge powers, which you see occasionally. There's some weird things like that where it doesn't have any great value in attacking, or there's some other downside for an attack step. So that's the sort of thing that I'm going to start looking for here.
What I think would make this set, make this mechanic super powerful, is as this creature is enlisted, target creature gets X. Yep. So if you've got a creature that it's a 3 mana 2/2, no, make it a 4 mana 3/3. Let's make it a hill giant.
Sure.
And if this is enlisted, target creature gets first strike, or something like that. Right.
So when we start scrolling through the actual cards in the set, that'll be something we start to look at. So look, this card, undoubtedly good. This will see constructed play. It's a 2-drop with upside. It's going to be good in a wide aggressive deck. It's not legendary. It gains indestructible. We've seen plenty of those kind of effects before. And,
like Seasoned Hallow Blade and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. All those kinds of things. So, yeah, this one will definitely see play. So that's in list.
What's next?
What's your take overall, though? Like, do you like it?
So, yeah, I think, look, this card could definitely be a playable card in Constructed just based on power. And as a draft archetype, I'm a little worried that Enlist encourages a little bit like the Samurai mechanic from the Kamigawa set, where you're getting value from attacking alone, but often that value wasn't actually worthy of just leaving another creature at home, and this taps it. So I'd have to see what the other synergies would have to be good. And you'd have to get enough benefits and things that make, as I said, token generation and things that make multiple bodies. So, if you can play
but you can't use more than one creature, right? You can only tap.
No, but you just want to be able to defend, right? So if you've got like a 4-mana 2/2 that makes a 1/1, you can make this bigger, and then you can still chump with your 1/1.
Sure.
So you're not going to lose the damage race.
Yeah,
so
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so next up we have Read Ahead. So Sagas are back. I love Sagas. I think everyone agrees kind of universally they're one of the best card types that have been introduced in, I don't know how many years, a long time. They're really clean. And so Saga lets you just choose which chapter you want to start on. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other ways of saying it, but yeah, Read Ahead is now, I can choose, so we've got the phasing of Zalfir here, and I can start at destroy all creatures. Each creature destroyed this way, its controller creates a black 2/2 Phyrexian creature token. So this is sweet, man.
I love it from a power perspective. Don't like it from a flavor perspective. Like the whole point of a saga, right, is it's meant to be a long story, right, that builds up to a climax, right, where it's so I mean, we've all had sagas where it's just like,
if I can survive to chapter 3, I just win the game. Or for sure.
Yeah. So hopefully they've got the power balance sort of thing. Like imagine if the one that edicts and then discards and then you reanimate one, the 5-mana one. Yeah.
It was
like if that was just a reanimate spell when you wanted it to be. Yeah, and that's fine. But
3 turns later. I get that. And so I think, well, I mean, this one again particularly powerful. They've got a rare again here is the example card, but so that's a particularly powerful effect. But
that's what Vorinclex is for, says Tech in the chat, and you're correct. Now you just get it without having to cast your 6/6 beforehand.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I mean, I agree. I really think that the way that they've called it Read Ahead is a very clever way of dealing with this, and this feels like fixed planeswalkers in a lot of ways. This is kind of, it's the same sort of effect where you're like, okay, I've got a plus or a minus. Hey, thank you for the follow. A plus or minus ability, and this way you don't get to go back. So there's no like, you hit chapter 3. If you decide you just need to wrath the board and make a bunch of 2/2s instead, then you don't get to go back and then do the other thing. You get to no counters and it disappears. So it's the same
there's a cost there, right? You're skipping value,
and there absolutely should be. So I think this is a really clever way of doing it. I like it. I'm a fan.
Yeah. It just it makes them less saga-y, but it's definitely cool and definitely very powerful. And I like having the option because it more options is a good thing. I like that. This means you've got more agency.
100%. So nice and easy, and not hard to understand there. Domain, Chewy.
Well, we've seen this before.
Tell me about Domain.
You just throw straight to the old bloke. Yeah.
Of course.
So Domain is a returning ability where you have an effect based on the number of basic land types you have in play. So not basic land specifically, but basic land types. So if you think about triomes, that is 3 basic land types. So we've got the triomes and the Capenna pseudo triomes in standard, so it's going to be a good
wastes.
a good time to
savage.
reintroduce this.
So yeah, we've only got the ones that are triumphs now. The ones from Capenna, the other ones have rotated. So we don't have all of them. There is the new set of common jewel lands that are basic types that interplay tapped.
And that's great from a limited perspective. So that's going to help you, splash / fix, but also turn on your
excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Bless you. So what that's going to be good for is even if you're playing an off-color tap land in your domain deck, for the cost of your land coming into play tapped, you could be getting, additional power, toughness, damage effects, whatever it might be. So that's definitely a deck building consideration and a drafting consideration. You notice the art for the coalition on it is that's just coalition relic. It's really good.
It is too.
Yeah, that's nice.
That. Yeah, cool. So I mean,
but it's a 5-color mechanic, right?
Yeah, it is. And so you obviously don't have to be full 5-color. It's pretty good in 3 even. This is a 2-mana 3/3 if you've got one of those dual lands and a forest in play. And it's certainly worth considering. Like Otto's saying, they're common. And
also auto wastes is not a basic land type.
Yeah, I think
only we work. So yeah, that scab hasn't quite healed yet from the from the modern event.
Bit raw, buddy.
Yeah.
So it's like playing a Scryland, right? That only made one of your colors was a consideration that you would have. I mean, the fact that they were rare was a bit of a pain most of the time, but it was one of those things where you don't need a lot of upside to put 1 or 2 in your limited deck. And if you get both of your colors out of it, that's amazing. And if you get one and it just is some buff for the rest of your brawler decks, then your domain decks, then that's good. I think we'll probably see like a 5-color green deck.
Yeah, I think so. If the mana fixing is good and if domain is a viable mechanic, you want it to be at least 3 colors, and perhaps using one of those dual lands to
splash a 4th or something.
Yeah, occasionally a 4th for value, just to pip you over the top. But if with those lands at common, you're going to pick up a number of them, and you're going to be able to draft 3-color decks really, really easily. But you're also going to be you'll have 4-color decks regularly.
Yeah, and look, we aren't discounting the cost in tap lands. Chewy and I understand that really well. We understand that the cost in having ETB tap lands, but turn 1 or turn 3 or whatever, you can usually find a slot in your curve where you can play something out and kind of not have it be too much of a downside.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it looks like a pretty good aggressive card there, Alex, and welcome to the Beats.
Thanks,
what's
Alex.
next?
I'm pretty sure that's one of the guys I work with.
All right. Yep. All right. Okay. So this guy looks amazing. He's talking about Cracker. Right.
Or you. I don't know. Could be you.
I don't know.
Kicker. Man. Do they talk about Kicker? Yeah. I mean, if you don't know what Kicker is, have you played Magic? It is every... It's just every mechanic is Kicker, right? So this one is an interesting take where we've got Kicker but different color costs, and then
and you can have multiple kickers as well. So and there's a few things about Kicker that are worth pointing out. Kicker's an additional cost. So in this card that's an example here, if you put this onto the stack when it's kicked, it's still CMC 4.
Correct.
Or mana value 4, but it's got the additional cost of black and or red. So when you're looking at things like Chalice of the Void, if you've got a Chalice on 4, this gets counted even though you spent 5 or 6 mana on it. So that's just worth knowing.
Exactly right. Yeah, that was the joke, Auto, is that everything is just a different type of kicker. But this is a cool variant. So again, we've got a rare here, Archangel of Wrath, white and 2 for a 3/4 with kicker of black and or red, flying lifelink. And when it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it deals 2 damage to any target, and if it was kicked twice, it deals 2 damage to any target.
Yeah, so this reminds
2 damage twice. So you can deal 4, but it doesn't have to be to the same thing.
Yeah, this reminds me of I can't remember the name of the card, but there was a Naya. It was a green and 2 for a 2/2, and it had kicker. I'm not sure if you could kick it multiple times, but it had red, white, and green kicker, and one of them gained life, one of them dealt 2 damage, one of them
and that sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So this is kind of that next iteration of that, and that's worked in the past, and traditionally this has been more of a limited viable mechanic. Occasionally those cards will creep into constructed, maybe even in just sideboards if they have like disenchant effects, but this particular one may be just good enough for constructed.
I mean, I'd be pretty happy to open this in any sealed pool or draft, please.
Yeah, this is definitely in the bomb sort of range, but there was some amazing kicker cards in the last Dominaria set. There was like a 2-mana 1/3 that you could kicker for 6 mana that returned an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand, and that card was amazing.
Yeah, those kicker costs were huge with big effects. They were really good, and they played so well in limited because you could play it as like you said, on turn 2, or you top deck it and you're like, oh, I'll just cast this on turn 8 and kind of...
Yeah, it's similar to like cycling, right? Where having a card in your deck that is, viable and impactful at different phases of the game. Like, It's like, oh, I need a land drop, I'm going to cycle this and get it. Sometimes you just want to play this guy on 4 and play, a 4-mana, 3/4 flying lifelink. That's a good Magic card. Yeah. But if you've got a mana to sink into that, and it also means that it is not just a white card, it's a black-white card, it's a white-red card,
it's a Mardu,
but it's also a Mardu card. So when you're building your decks and things, and this is another great example of the power of those dual lands. Like if you're a black-white deck and you pick up a red dual land in a black-red or a white-red one, you just throw it in because you're just going to get value.
Yeah. So Wongus has asked an interesting question. Do you think these alternate color costs should cause these cards to be considered at least as dual colors in limited? Yes. I mean, this one in particular, I would just play as like a mono white beatdown, but at the same time, like Chewy saying, the downside in picking up 1 or 2, like a red-white and a red-black or a white-black dual land is just worth it. So I would absolutely view these as at least like 2 of my 3 colors, and if I can splash a third one without it being too painful, then I would definitely look at that.
When I was building my deck and I was laying it out in curve, I would probably put this in the 5-drop slot as far as my deck building considerations are concerned, and go, I want to play this on 5 in my limited deck, which sometimes you'll play it on 4 because you have to, but the ideal situation is to play this on 5.
Yeah, you want to, I mean, particularly in limited, you want to just be able to squeeze any format, but you want to squeeze every bit of value you can of every card you cast. And so, playing it sort of 1 turn back as a shock as well is just going to be worth doing the majority of the time.
And that's a really important evaluation point here. When you're looking at the card on just face value versus with it being kicked, is it worth kicking it? What value are you getting out of that? And is it worth playing not being kicked? Conversely as well. So when that's how I evaluate. That's where I start evaluating kicker cards, at least.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, you need to look at both the floor and the ceiling, and that can be really difficult to balance because sometimes the floor is really high and sometimes it's just garbage. And at that point, you have to evaluate it like it's not a 2-drop at all. It's just a 5-drop, right? Or whatever the difference is there may be.
And that's where lay your deck out in curve and make those considerations and those adjustments. Don't just look at the top right-hand corner. Think about what the other text on the card. Yeah,
100%. All right, stun counters. This is cool, man. I really like these. So stun counter says, tap target creature and put 3 stun counters on it. And then the rules text of that is, if a permanent with a stun counter would be untapped, remove 1 from it instead. So you're effectively tapping it for 3 turns, and then after that they'll get to untap it because you just count down the counters every time. Apparently this is now going to become an evergreen mechanic as well.
Interesting. Okay.
This is a great blue interactive spell. This is kind of like exactly what you want, and it doesn't get hit by. I'm thinking of cards like Ice Cage or Claustrophobia or those kinds of things that get disenchanted. You're always going to get your 3 turns out of this, unless there's some untapped target creature effect, but that seems unlikely.
What I like about this card does exactly what it's named, so it's a well designed card in that respect. So thinking about outside of limited, proliferate.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just popped into my mind. But this is if you're in a tempo base, say blue white flyers, which is sort of a.
There's really strong blue red spells in this set, from what I can see.
Yeah, really good point, and we'll get to those. Yeah, so it stops their best attacker / blocker, lets you force in damage, or just lets you win the race. Mm-hmm. It also scries one. Just tack that on. Just that's value. Great. Yeah. So this is one of those mechanics that is either going to be, gee, I wish this was a pacifism, or it's going to be really, really good. And that's going to kind of depend on the game situation, on your deck composition, and what your opponent's doing. But I like it. That's a great.
It's not an instant though, Auto. That's the only problem.
That's pretty cute though. But yeah, it's a. So for those, maybe listening to this later, spoilers. Autologous in the chat has said that he's looking forward to putting stun counters on his own creatures to stop Heartless Act, which is pretty cute. But yeah, so this is kind of new. It's exciting. We don't really know how it's going to play out, but on face value, this looks quite good.
Yeah, it seems kind of great. And I guess the other thing from looking at it from the person who's been stunned is that it's not a hard removal spell. So you can kind of plan for it and be like, okay, I've got 3 turns. Can I survive? Like, how do I get out of this? And I think for Blue's interaction, that's a really good spot. Bouncing can be really frustrating to play against. And this is, as someone who loves to to bounce spells, Fading Hope is an amazing card. But it also means that I don't have to resync mana over and over again. So I think really as counterplay from both sides.
As the blue mage though, sometimes it feels really bad bouncing things because cards do so much. Cards do so much in Modern Magic. Then you're just giving them more value. So this is a good innovation. I like it.
Yeah, don't bounce cards with kicker, kids, because they get to cast them with kicker. That's gonna hurt. All right, so that's it. Those are the mechanics. These seem really cool, man. Like I like Domain coming back. Obviously, love kicker coming back. Stun seems really straightforward. Like it just makes sense. Like I don't think there's a whole lot to be explained there. As for I don't even remember what it's called now. The Enlist mechanic, that's the one that I think is the most it's yet to be seen, kind of how that ends up playing out.
Yeah, I'm it's cool. It's the one that I have the sort of the least
it's the least enthusiasm
for. Yeah. Look, I'll go. Nah, this is no good. I'm not gonna draft it, and then I'll guarantee you my first draft.
It'll be this guy. It'll snap it.
And I'll just get murdered by it. Yeah.
Or that, that's the other thing, right? And look, I know that Marshall from LR talks about this a lot, where people are big believers in cards, and he's not. He's like, I'll just wait. Someone has to show me. They have to beat me with it, and it has to be that it was that card. So, anyway. All right, so now what we're going to do is move on to, and I just need to do a quick...
So I might just, while you're making those adjustments, there's a reason that we've landed at the multicolored cards. So as we said in the intro, we're going to talk about how we approach the new sets as they come out, and where we start when evaluating the limited format, and where to begin. What synergies am I looking for? What do I want to draft? What do I want to do with my sealed deck? So that's why we've started with the multicolored cards, Cracker.
It sure is. So actually, I might just be able to zoom in a little bit here. Let me just see if I can make this a little bigger for the peeps. I don't need to have perhaps all these rows in. Sorry.
Shorty's probably got his glasses on at home. It's okay.
Does he? And I talk about Stu, but he's asleep. So
yeah. I can hear him snoring over the other side of the mountain here.
True that. Forgive me while I just make a couple of quick adjustments, everybody. Alright, it's not quite going to go that big. Alright. Yep. Alright, there we go. That'll do. That's as good as I can get it. Alright, so, these are called uncommon signpost. Uncommon signpost is kind of the normal way to look at these. So let's start with... Well, we've got a couple of each here. So, Chewy, let's start. I mean, Aaron, Benalia's Ruin. It's an uncommon 3/3 white black with menace.
Yes, pretty intensive color requirements here, which is something that whenever we're evaluating the cards, you have to go. There's going to be plenty of games where I can't cast this guy on 3, but when you can, he's going to be pretty powerful. Like a 3-mana 3/3 with menace is going to get a bunch of damage in.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing about Aaron is Aaron. It is the you don't have to attack with him, and there's a bit of tension with this card, but it also means that on 3 is a great attacker, but then if the board stalls, then you can sacrifice another creature and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, which is super powerful effect, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in limited, you can get through board stalls if you've got an evasive creature. That's really really powerful. And we call these signpost uncommons. And I look at Aaron and I go, okay, so black-white is doing +1/+1 counters things. I want to go wide. I want to create as many bodies as I can, and I want to pump them up. So it is, AZG saying he's finally got a card. Yep, there we go. And I wonder, is there any soldiers in this set? There is for Sarah, so that's good. Sarah's had a whole tribe, so
that's true.
Got some catching up to do there, AZG. So... but yeah, so I think that's what I look at with this card. I look at the card individually and go, busted if I can cast it on 3, fine if I cast it on turn 4 or 5, and I want to do tokens, +1 counters, synergy things.
Yeah. So yeah, 100%. Like this just screams go wide, because you can do it at instant speed as well. So like this isn't only as a sorcery. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do, as you were saying. It also means you don't attack with it perhaps all the time, and you hold up as effectively a combat trick or to like effectively foil a removal spell or any of those kinds of things. So this plays kind of both halves quite interestingly.
It makes your creatures block really well, right? So you can block with the creature and then pump up your team for a massive attack and things like that. So you can do a lot with this card. Like, this card's is going to reward good players, and it's going to get people out of tricky situations, and it's going to let people capitalize on situations when they're already ahead as well.
Yeah, for sure. But like you said, tough mana requirement in this one, so I'm thinking again, leaning more towards mono white splashing black, or just a 2-color, Orzhov deck. The stretch to a 3rd color here means that you will get burned a lot trying to cast this on curve.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just skip to Astor's rare, so we might jump over to Baird because it's the same kind of thing. So it is Baird, Givian Recruiter. He is white and a red for a 2/2 legendary creature human soldier. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power greater than its base power, create a 1/1 white soldier token creature. So this seems interesting, man. It's telling you to go big and wide at the same time.
Yeah, and as Hemsy called out in the chat, it's got some synergy with Aaron, and we talked about the enlist card, and we want something that's going to make multiple bodies and things like that. So this does that. In red and white, and it's a 2-mana 2/2, so it is playable. It is specific color requirements, and we're seeing that. But again, this is
starting right. This is the signpost.
Yeah,
so we expect these to
absolutely
be 2 colors and a little trickier to cast.
But like Aaron, it's a fine card to cast on turn 2 as your 2-drop if you have both colors. But it's also relevant later in the game, and that's great. That's a sign of a good Magic card.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Yeah.
It
but you're looking for pump spells, you're looking for equipment, you're looking for counters, you're looking for, anything that, meets that requirement. And that requirement's not a difficult one. It's not looking for, specific powers or what was the mechanic from the last set? We had to have 3 different powers amongst creatures you control.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
difficult to trigger.
Yeah, this one is.
You just need a 3/3, and then you get a 1/1, a 2/2, and a 3/3. So
yeah, well, you just need some way to enhance a creature. Yeah, Coven, that's the one. Yeah, thanks, Wong Assist.
That's the one. Yeah, so this seems strong. So the one that interests me,
the whole reason that we did this stream was just so Cracker could talk about this card,
correct? Right? No. So I mean, this interests me from constructed, but this is Balmor Battle Mage Captain. It is blue and red for a legendary creature bird wizard. It is a 1/3 with flying, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. I mean,
this is pretty good with that thing that taps your opponent's creatures down.
Sure is.
Because it stops them from attacking. And what I really like about this is it's each creature you control, and we saw that with Aeron as well. Yeah, where traditionally these have been, we Dragonauts gets X, where this is each creature you control. So
and trample as well, which is a really big thing. A lot of these things. Yeah. So you're kind of trying to set up for almost a big turn with this in play. Not necessarily, but quite often you can, just make a bunch of dudes or go a little bit wide, save up some instants and sorceries. You tap down a thing, you scry, you maybe draw a card, you do something else. There's a bunch of there's lightning strike. There's just there's going to be some red pump spells. I'm sure we come across. It's all that sort of stuff where you just chain maybe 2 or 3. You don't need to go. I'm not talking 6 spells or anything like that. But if you don't need to, 2
you're
spells,
not counting Storm. Yeah.
No. But if you cast two sorceries or instants in a turn, which is doable, you got to draft towards it.
Yep.
It's +2/+0 across all your dudes and trample. So you can get some big swings with this card in play.
Absolutely, and it's a 2-mana 1/3 flyer. So its absolute floor is it's still a good card. It's going to defend for you when you need it to. It's going to chip in for some damage. The only thing with this is it kind of forces you to play, a proactive sorcery based game where you're not going to want so much. In the way of
counter magic,
counter magic, yeah. But if you think about the what were those counters called again? The ones that tap things. Stun counters, yeah. You want that on their best blocker and to be able to attack past it. So there's some synergy with that type of effect. So lightning strike attack rather than trying to get tricky with your lightning strike. And we've kind of talked about this over the last couple of weeks where we're talking about, Lava Spike being a really direct card. Sometimes as Magic players, particularly in Limited, we try to get a bit too fancy, where sometimes the right thing to do is in my main phase, kill your thing, trigger my attacker, attack you past turn.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes that's just the best possible play, but we're this is an instant, I want to hang on to it at the last possible moment. You want to play it at the right moment. Sometimes that right moment is in your first main phase. It's
such a difficult learning curve there because it's one of those things where you start off by playing everything as sorceries because you don't know any better. Then you learn how instants work and you're do everything at the last possible second because that's the correct thing to do. And then as you get better again, you realize it's actually not. And there's a lot of times where instants just are better as sorceries and particularly in this case, we're talking about trying to push damage and things. It doesn't help you block. It helps you get them dead.
Yeah, so the hot tip. Wow. The hot tip from Chewy and Cracker is that something being an instant, particularly in Limited, is an option, not a... it shouldn't pigeonhole you into, only casting it on your opponent's end step or in their declare attackers. It just means you've got the option to cast it at that time. So, but always think about the best time to cast it.
For sure. All right. Bortuck Bone Rattle. Are you able to read that one?
There's a lot of words on that. So it's a 6-mana 4/4 for a Troll Shaman. Actually, it's really interesting that a lot of these are legendary and they are uncommon. So it is possible to get multiples in your deck. So just be aware of that. Yep, Troll Shaman, not a Shaman. And when this enters the battlefield, if you cast it, choose target creature card in your graveyard, return that card to the battlefield. If its mana value is less than or equal to the number of basic land types among lands you control, otherwise put it into your hand. So a 6-mana 4/4 with regrowth is its absolute worst, or it's a 6-mana 4/4 reanimation spell.
Yeah, so it's either Gravedigger or Reanimate, right?
Exactly right. Yes, yeah. That it's obviously more expensive than those things, but
Sure.
it comes with a 4/4 attached to it. So it is a great card. Honestly, it being able to rebuy things in limited is really good. It's card advantage, and as you said earlier, Cracker, you want to be able to identify and capitalize on any advantage that you can, and sometimes you want to profitably trade off a creature, knowing that you can buy it back. You might have this in your hand or just know it's in your deck and you can get it back for later. And then some creatures are lightning rods for removal, and the synergy of your deck is very reliant on that. So having that redundancy of being able to buy it back is really, really good. And I mean, a 6-mana 4/4 that does something is really good, and the the restriction on this is really well worded. Like if you cast it, so like flicker effects and things, you can't do like dumb stuff, but you're just going to get value out of this card. So it's very green black, very The Rock.
It is very, very Golgari. It also means, again, we haven't looked at every card in the set, but things like self-mill or that become less of a downside, and it lets you play with your graveyard as your hand, which is it's just great. You just have more space.
Yeah, you've got well, you've got more options, and it's this equals 2 cards. Like either way, like it either goes 100%. To your hand or goes to play. This equals 2 cards.
Yep. Yeah, correct. And you just build around it, right? We talked about 5-color green being an option. Well, here's one of the reasons why you might want to be 4 or 5 colors. You get to bring back a 4-drop or something like that. So
yeah, absolutely,
really strong. Okay, next card we've got is Elias Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim. So this is white-black for a 2/2. This is, again, legend creature, Phyrexian Core Cleric. It is Death Touch. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So this is both a Blood Artist and a... Oh, what's the main life gain one?
Yes.
You know the one I mean. It's
I do.
Soul Sister. Soul Warden.
Soul Sister. Yeah, Soul Warden one.
Yeah, exactly. And they're funny because they're both, one is white and the other is black. Like
so this card makes perfect sense from a color pie perspective.
Yeah.
But this is as much a signpost as Aaron above.
100%.
So this tells me that you want to create as many bodies as you can, and there's also there's going to be some sacrifice synergies, but even if you don't have sacrifice synergies with this, you can drain your opponent for 3 to 4 life over the course of the game, and it's a 2/2 with Death Touch, so it can trade up in mana. So this card does quite a lot, and it is, again, a good card to play on turn 2, but relevant to play on turn 5 as well. So I think as I go through and I'm doing my own sort of personal evaluation here, this set is good from a from a storyline and how cool it is perspective. But I feel like it's just a well designed Magic set so far. So we'll see how that goes. But you want to go wide. You want things that make multiple bodies. Yeah, you want things that are happy to block. You want to open Aaron and get past Ellis in your draft. That's how you want to start your drafts, right?
100%. And then you're looking for like typhoid rats or things like that, like annoying creatures to block with, death touch and stuff like that. Like there's just, you're looking for go wide or just kind of things that are frustrating to attack into. So
yeah, exactly. I like this a lot.
Yeah, White Black definitely has, it's got a lane here. They're definitely working together nicely.
Yeah, so there's an archetype there. So we've seen the white red probably wants to enlist some things. Black white wants to go wide. The blue deck wants to do blue red spells things. The green black deck wants to grind value. So I like it. What is red black trying to do?
Red black. So we have Garner Bloodfist of Keld. It is 1 black and then red for a legendary creature, Human Berserker. It's a 4/3. And it is whenever another creature you control dies, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, Garner Bloodfist of Keld deals 1 damage to each opponent.
This is great.
This card is amazing. This is the first time I'm reading this. Wow. I mean,
it's got a steep mana cost, as a lot of these do.
100%.
And it makes you want to be very red, but it is great. Like it makes you want to be aggressive, but it also, if you chump blocking, you're going to just like eke out damage. And I can see a game situation where you put your opponent in like damned if you do, damned if you don't, sort of classic red black Punisher type thing, but in a more subtle way, where it's if you attack me, you die. If you don't attack me, I get to attack you and draw a bunch of cards and you die.
Exactly. It's like, do you want to take damage or do you want to draw cards so I can kill you with other things? Like that's...
I can like draw more lightning strikes or whatever it might be. Like this card's really exciting. It's difficult to cast. I definitely, you're not always going to have this on 4. But if you go like 2-drop, 3-drop this, and then just turn your dude sideways, that is amazing. So red black just wants to do hyper aggressive things. So
it's very much on theme, right? Like, and I think that's kind of one of the hallmarks of Dominaria is these all feel like the core values of these color pairs, which is,
and I get to say I'm gonna get ya, for a whole season, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, I'm glad this is around for another 2 years. Let's go.
You're gonna get sick of it.
I'm gonna. Mardu requirements will be pretty hard on the mana, but you're not likely to get all of Aaron and Garner and all that sort of stuff in one deck.
But it's not. You might get 2 of them.
You can do it.
But as I said, Hemsy, even if you're just splashing one of them, they're still relevant later on in the game. So I really like that.
Yeah,
so,
100%. All right. So next we've got... These are all...
I wouldn't have made that gag if you weren't hanging out here, Order. You bring out the best in me.
Best. That's an interesting way of saying it. Let's skip these rares, because we're talking about the uncommon signposts, and we'll go down to Lagamos. There's another red-black card too.
Yeah. So 3 mana for a 1/3 at the beginning of combat on your turn. Create a token. It's a 2/1 red elemental. Has trample and haste. Sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. And it has tap, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Activate only if 5 or more creatures died this turn. So in limited, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to get that effect. But this fits into Mardu, right? So. If you want, you can enlist some things and just make your things bigger, or maybe you just want to bash, just get in as quickly as you and as massive as you can. But then if there's sacrifice synergies as well, so this card's pretty great.
This card seems amazing.
Yeah,
like a 3 mana 1/3 that makes a 2/1 with haste and trample. Okay, that's what a turn! What a turn 3, man! That's nuts.
Actually, Hemsy, that's a really good point. 3 creatures attack and 2 get blocked could be enough. Yeah. If there's a lot of trades and things, and this is just something that you have to be really conscious of, both if your opponent has it or if you have it as well. So And on Arena, if you're like, oh, why is this highlighted? Oh, I can do the thing. But in paper, you've got to make sure you're tracking this as closely as you can. But so maybe it's not as difficult to turn on as possible. So 3-mana 1/3 that spits out damage every turn and is a demonic tutor. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
I'll draft that. Sorry, a recursive demonic tutor.
yep.
I should say. So that's pretty good.
Very, very strong. All right, so the next one we've got is Nail, Azova Aeronaut. And this one is Simic. So it is 2 blue-green for a 2/4 with flying. It is a legendary creature, Elf Scout. With Domain, whenever Nail deals combat damage to a player, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put one of them on the top of your library and the rest on the bottom in a random order. And then if there are 5 basic land types among lands you control, draw a card. Yeah. This is nuts.
It does a lot, but it's pretty gas, right? Like, it's got a lot of text on it, but it's pretty gas. So, like, a 4-mana 2/4 flyer is a great defensive creature.
It's probably a little bit behind rate. I think you'd probably normally see that for blue-green, and 1 would be reasonable.
Not for a 2/4, maybe. Like for an evasive creature, or a defender, but. Yeah, I think what it also does is let you kind of attack in, and a lot of flyers aren't going to have 4 toughness. Yep. So you're going to be able to attack with this into 2/2 flyers and things without So I like that. It means that the attack ability is a relevant one. So I like it. Yeah, Hemsy, I'm into that. So Hemsy's just saying in the chat. Sultai Domain with a couple of off-color lands, so you can turn it into a 4, and if you're very lucky, 5-color. So I think that is this card's great.
Yeah, but even like the total flaw of this is every time you attack, you get to look at the top 2 cards, and then put one of them. It's up to, so it's like Scry 2. It's Scry X, where X is the number of basics you've got. And then if you've got 5, like upside, you get to draw a card. That's amazing. But you also just get to set up your draw step for next turn. So, like, attacking with a 2/4 that scries 2 every turn is nuts.
Yeah.
That seems
it's going to smooth out your draws. It's going to find you that next creature or that removal spell or that land.
Or that land, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Sultai, or, again, we talk about 5-color green. Blue-green is excellent at ramping. That will be, like, a thing that it just gets to do. Simic has always been... that's its wheelhouse. That's its main strength. So, well, actually, it's not true. Simic's main strength is everything, I believe.
Pretty much.
Just everything.
Just Oko things.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the next card. Najal the Stormrunner. Double blue and a red and 2 for a 5/4.
Yep.
5-mana 5/4. Okay. Interesting color requirements. So, you may cast sorcery spells though they had flash. Okay. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
When Najal the Stormrunner attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy it. You may choose new targets for that copy. So you can attack, pay the 2, and then play a sorcery at instant speed.
Mm-hmm.
And then copy it. So everything has kicker. Exactly. Everything has kicker too. So this card is really, really powerful. It doesn't have any sort of evasion, but this is like a value blue-red. And
so, do you remember our 2-drop sorcery that taps things?
Yeah.
Would you like to have 2 of those for 4 mana?
Well, you've already cast it, right? Oh yeah. No, sorry, it doesn't come from your graveyard.
You flash it.
Yeah.
Twice.
So it just becomes
down for 3 turns. Oh.
Yeah, whilst you're attacking with your 5/4.
It's almost sleep at that point.
Yeah. So I think this card's great. Really, really high upside, really high ceiling. Mm-hmm. The floor is the mana requirements and the lack of evasion. But
for sure.
That static ability is enormous. There's a lot of removal spells are balanced on being sorcery, and it is it gets around that. But I guess the foil to that is the blue-red uncommon that we talked about earlier, promotes you playing things at sorcery speed, and we had that whole discussion where this kind of goes against that. But I think this again,
kind of, because you attack with everything, and then you can flash in your sorceries. So it's good thing they're running extra turn spells. Yeah, I reckon.
Exactly.
Oh boy. This card seems strong.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read the next one we've got here. So this is Queen Alanal of Rudak, I'm going to say.
Well done.
And it is green, white, white. My favourite colour combination. It is green, white, white for a legendary elf noble. And it is a star, power, and toughness. So its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a 1/1 white soldier creature token are created instead. So we talked about before wanting to go wide with black-white. I mean, white
or
green,
red-white.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of token synergies, it feels like. But yeah, this is like... This is an interesting card because it doesn't have trample, it doesn't have any evasion, it's just a big body, but it's that static effect that you're playing it for, right? For every token that you make +1. And so this will trigger from, I'm trying to think of like Raise the Alarm, right? Pretty classic card, 1 and a white, makes 2 1/1 soldiers. Yeah, you get to make 4, right?
Yeah, if you think about the red-white...
Sorry, so it is only 1. It only triggers for each instance, right?
Yeah, you just get an extra. So if you think about the red-white 2/2 that, if you've got something that's beyond its base power, it gets a...
Baird.
You make a 1/1? Yeah, Baird. So Baird makes 2 tokens, 2 1/1 white soldier tokens.
And if you've got her in play, then all of a sudden she's, a 4/4, a 5/5... so that will trigger Baird over and over again.
It's exactly. It's just a stats card. 3 mana, 4/4, 5/5, 6/6, but it's got the potential to get really big.
It does, and look, sometimes keyword big just matters in limited.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just want to go huge sometimes, and this is going big and wide. It's an interesting combination there to make people, you force through damage one way or another. It's just like, okay, you can chump my 8/8 or you can block my 7 other creatures. What would you like to do here, opponent? And you just put them in that squeeze.
Yeah, I like it. Yep.
Okay.
Rada. This is the latest iteration of Rada. We've seen her before.
We have a few times.
Gruul colors and 2 for a 3/3. Legendary creature, Elf Warrior. Domain. When Rada becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of basic land types among creatures you control. So this is what we were talking about right at the start, where if you enlist Rada, you're going to pump up the creature by 3 or 4 power. So that's the sort of thing that I was looking for. And it also happens when Rada attacks. So you can attack with Rada. 4 mana 3/3. It's fine.
Yep.
But you can also make one of the tokens that you've got lying around into an actual threat as well. So Rada strikes me as a bit of a lightning rod, a bit of maybe a curve topper in a Gruul aggressive deck, or a synergy card in the enlist strategy. So I like that, and again, just the flexibility and relevance up the curve. And sometimes you just want to you want a 4 mana 3/3 that picks up one of your smaller creatures, your 2 mana 2/2 that's not doing anything on turn 7.
Yep.
And turning that 2/2 into a 5/5 or a 6/6, and Rada might get blocked and die, but you're still getting in that extra attack, and it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, It seems really good.
Rada is always a lightning rod. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Rada is always, she's usually made mana actually when she attacks. So it's interesting that they've gone with, power and toughness this time. But yeah, it's worth thinking about with enlist as well, is that if you use something else to enlist and you tap Rada, that creature will get +3+ or +3 +0. But then Rada's ability will trigger to anything. So you
can pump 2 creatures.
Correct. So you can pump the one that you've enlisted with to make it just one massive threat, or you can put it on something else and again, make multiple difficult decisions for your opponent, which is
great way to, force through damage.
Yeah, it's just rule things, right? Okay. Yeah. Hey, we've got Raph. We've seen Raph again. He's back. He is the Weatherlight Stalwart. He is white-blue for a 1/3. He is a legendary creature human wizard, and it says, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control. If you do, draw a card. He has an activated ability. It is 3 white for creatures you control get +1/+1 and and gain vigilance until end of turn. So
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, what do you see in this one?
So I see throughout so early game, 2 mana 1/3, good defensive creature.
Yep.
Then mid game, I see cast my end step card draw spell.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever instant, 4 mana, 5 mana, whatever it is, card draw spell. Tap a couple of my guys as well, and just get extra cards. And then once you hit 5, you can start cranking things up. And sometimes you're going to have like a massive army, and this +5 ability is going to be an extra, 6-8 power, and sort of alpha strike your opponent. Sometimes it's going to be, I'm going to give my, my 2/2 flyer vigilance because I've got nothing better to do, and I'm just going to attack through that way. So versatility, and I don't wish I had $1 for every time I've said it, but just relevance up the curve. A lot of play to this card, and do I tap creatures? Which ones do I tap? What's my upside downside here? So I think this card's very, very cool, but there's going to be situations where it kind of does nothing, but there's going to be plenty of situations where it does exactly what you need it to do at the time. So I like it.
Yeah, tricky to evaluate compared to some of the other things where it's just like this spits out a 2/1 every turn. Like that's pretty easy to say, yeah, this card is just good. Raph will be situational. I guess it's worth pointing out, probably somewhat obviously, but if you activate the ability, the creatures get vigilance, so you can then, use them in the end step to tap them to, draw cards and things. So
that is a very late game ability because it costs 5
it's going to cost,
activate.
100%. It's a late game thing, but
but it's a powerful late game thing.
All the elements of what you can do there. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. Scrolling on down my page, I'm going to skip the next few rares, and we're going to talk about Rona.
No one wants the Rona, mate.
No one wants the Rona. Sheoldred's Faithful. No one wants Sheoldred either. I mean, I do, but
yeah.
It is 1 blue, black for a legendary creature, human wizard. She is a 3/4. And it says, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life. You may cast Rona from your graveyard by discarding 2 cards in addition to paying its other costs.
So the effect is like this card's less exciting. It is. I would like to splash it in the blue-red spells deck. The double black cost is the Rona keeps coming back, exactly.
Yeah, the cost is prohibitive on this one.
The cost is prohibitive. The 4 mana 3/4 body in these colors is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And you might get 2 or 3 damage out of it. And maybe if you're playing blue black, you might be playing an 18 land deck, and you might want to you might end up with a couple in your hand in the sort of turn 6 or 7, and you can bring Rona back, and that you're getting some value out of it. But I'm not going to build a deck around that ability. I'm not. Yeah, like this is a card that I'll play. It'll be in my deck, but I don't see this as kind of a signpost build around. It's just an okay card, and but it's kind of uninspiring. for
Yeah, I don't see this going into like a Grixis spells deck. It's not right for what we looked at before, where you're just trying to beat face. This doesn't really help with that. It's too slow, and the upside is not strong enough. I see this as more of like a control,
recursive finisher.
Recursive finisher sort of thing, where you just you're playing card draw, removal spells, and gaining incremental chip damage while controlling the board, and then attacking, and it's just hard to get rid of.
Yeah, that's just
things. So,
but
every
other card
great at that because it's a little
it doesn't.
undersized.
It's not evasive. Yeah, but every other card that we've talked about, we've talked about it being good at different phases of the game and things where this is very niche and it's a cool design.
Yeah,
but it's narrow. Yeah,
100%. All right.
Yep.
Let's talk about Warren Chief.
Goblins.
You're all about the goblins at the moment.
Yeah, well, been a while since I played a green goblin actually. The one from OG Lorwyn with the -1 counters, a 3-mana 3/3. It's probably the last time I played a green goblin. But green, red, and a 1 for Rulik Mon's Warren Chief, legendary creature goblin. They're a 3/3. It's got pretty cool art. Has menace. Whenever this attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it into the battlefield tapped. If you didn't put a land into the battlefield this way, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. This thing is awesome. So 4-mana 3/3 menace. I mean, like that's a card I'll play. Bit of a tricky mana cost, but it is green, so it's a little better. It's got that pseudo evasion in menace, and it's either going to ramp you, and so it the ramp thing's really interesting. So if you want to go big, you want to hit those lands, it's great. If you want to hit the domain, there's a chance that you'll hit the color that you're missing. But also, if you just want to be aggressive, it just gets the land off the top of your deck and makes it more likely that you're going to hit a banger off your draw step. So I think this is really cool. And if you draw a spell, or if you see a spell on top, you're drawing a spell, but you also get a goblin. Get another 1/1. So for all the reasons that we talked about, tokens being useful and powerful in this limited format, this is a good way to make them. I think this card's great. If it's in the good colors, there's no like tribal synergies. Oh yes, we'll get to those. Sorry. Yep. Yeah, this card's good. Maybe constructed. Maybe not. Probably not.
Probably not. But
yeah,
this set just feels like it's going wide, man. Like,
very wide.
How many of these cards have we talked about? I want a Pyroclasm. that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. All right. We're going to skip over the next few rares, and we're going to get down to some more blue-white. So this is Sten, Paranoid Partisan.
Sten's a rare.
Oh, Sten is a rare. I'm sorry. Let's go to Tatiova then. Steward of the Tides. Tatiova is making another appearance.
Played Tatiova in Commander.
Oh, yeah.
But this one's a little different.
It is. So this is green, blue for a 3/3 legendary Merfolk Druid. It says land creatures you control have flying. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands, up to 1 target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental with haste. It is still a land. Okay. There's, again, lots to unpack. I mean, it's a 3-mana 3/3 at face value, and then you just need to get to 7 lands, and every land from then on becomes a 3/3 with flying and haste.
It's a build around. Definitely 100%. A build around.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd just put this in like my Simic decks because I'm not always like, it's a 3-mana 3/3 that may not ever do anything by the end of the game.
Sure.
Right. But when it's good, it's really good. So if I've got a way to get extra lands into play, if I've got some ramp spells, and I can turn this thing on, before turn 7, then it's going to be great. And it's just extra creatures, and it's turning your lands into beaters. Flying 3/3 beaters in limited. Like it's it's pretty good.
I don't think it would take much for me to put this in the deck. Like if I'm Simic, I'm just taking it every time. Because like it just the upside, like a 3-mana 3/3 is fine. Like that is not a terrible card. And then you flood out, and all of a sudden you're just making 3 free 3/3s. That's a mouthful.
What, free for free?
Free for free. Yeah. Exactly. So again, lacking the direct impact of some things, but as far as like late game top decks, if you just get to go, like once you hit 7 lands, you just start holding them. You don't need to play a land every turn, and sometimes there's value in not giving that information away, and so you can just play Tati over, and then all of a sudden you drop a land and you're attacking with a 3/3 flying haste. It seems good.
Yep. Yeah. It's very, very powerful. It just it's got to meet specific conditions, and that makes it a build around. And so when it's good, it's very, very good.
But these are like directions for building around.
That's right. So it's I will lose to this card. Right. Yes.
Talk to me about some more Boros, mate.
Okay, so Tori, the Avenant, Fury Rider, 1 red and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature human knight with vigilance and trample. Whenever this attacks, all other attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Other red attacking creatures you control get trample. Untap each white attacking creature, so it gives them like pseudo vigilance.
Yep.
So it is aggressive. If this had haste, oh my gosh, it would be really, really good.
It would be insane.
Yeah, it would be probably constructed playable.
Mm-hmm.
Pumping your team, so a 4-mana 3/3 vigilance trample. So it's funny that it's each other red. Yep. So it doesn't pump itself, but if you've got it's just a really good finisher, a really good way to force through some damage, and it is a way to also get if you've got some bigger creatures that are just kind of stats that happen to be red. The trample side of things is really, really good, but it also lets you get aggressive with your attacks and things that don't get traded off. Can untap and be ready to play defense on the next turn. Look, this card fits a niche, and a little bit like Tadiova, where it's when it's good, it's really, really good. Otherwise, it's just kind of fine.
A bit more you think?
No, I think it's a win. I think
itself.
Yeah, underwhelming by itself. You've got to have the support for it. But if you do, it's insanely powerful.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So the next one we've got is Tura Keneruud. I think that's how you say it. Sky Knight. It is 2 white and then blue for a legendary creature human knight. It is a 3/3 with flying, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 white soldier token creature, which pairs very nicely with our aforementioned friend that lets you tap creatures to draw cards.
This is great. Like 5-mana 3/3 flyer, like that's a rate that we're used to with
for uncommons in limited. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fine. We play those. So if you want to play a blue-red spells deck, you can easily splash the single white requirement for this. And if you want to play like a blue-white tempo, blue-white skies, one of the most classic limited archetypes forever.
Yep.
You're going to have card draw spells, counter spells, removal spells that are instants and sorceries. This creates bodies which gum up the ground and let your flyers take over the game. So this card is great, and this is we will be first picking these.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is like an excellent build around, and puts you very clearly in just exactly what you want to do. You just want to draft flyers and interaction. It's just perfect.
Absolutely,
and you get bonus 1/1s, like deal.
Yeah, which may have other
synergies with other things.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes they just keep you alive. Like I tell you what, Who'd be a 1/1 in Magic? It's like a red coat in Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
You just know you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You're gonna get thrown into something big. You're gonna have a clamp put on the back of your skull. Something's gonna go badly for you.
Yeah, that's why they're called like Unlucky Witness and
Yeah,
Doomed
exactly.
Travelers and things like that, right?
Exactly. Speaking of cool names,
Yeah.
Spawn of Turg.
Amazing. Flavor win, because what is it, Chewy? What's its type?
It's a frog beast, right?
Of
So
course it is.
yeah. So this is black, and green for a star 5. So its power and toughness equal to the number of land cards in your graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. Hello. And Golgari, sacrifice a land, you gain 2 life.
0.
What do you think?
I mean, this seems like a really good enabler.
Gated Zuranor, but yeah, really good enabler. And you spoke about self-mill with the 6-mana 4/4 earlier.
Correct.
Both in the same colours, both uncommons.
It's just Golgari, like all the way down, right?
Absolutely. This doesn't trample or have any other evasion, but it does have 5 toughness. So it's an enabler that you're happy to just like rumble with, or plays defense really well. So this card's pretty good, and it's got a great name.
It does. Chewy's going to draft this first pick. It just so he can go. I cast Spawn of Turg.
Ergs, yeah, exactly. So
hey Plunks, how you doing?
G'day Plunksy. So yeah, it is. I like it. The mana cost again a little prohibitive, but if you cast this on turn 5, then that's still fine.
Yeah, I mean,
so the stats are good enough. The only thing
it's not super exciting, I would say.
No, the only thing about this is no fetch lands at all. Like there's no like evolving wilds or yeah. So ways to get lands into your graveyard, you're relying on the self-mill ability really, or the sacrifice ability. Yep. You don't have really any other way to get lands in there. Yep.
All right. So the next one we've got is Vorha. It is a Voldalian Desecrator. It's blue-black for this is a creature type line. The text gets real small. It is a legendary creature, Phyrexian Merfolk Wizard.
That's a lot of types.
It is a lot of types. It's a 1/2, and it's got 2 activate abilities. So it says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded an instant or sorcery card this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And then the other ability is 2, sacrifice Vorha. You may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery.
Don't like it.
Okay, so do you just... I see a boat 2 plunks. I'm going to talk about it. At its floor, you can look at it as blue-black Merfolk Looter. Is that playable?
Yes, that is playable. Looting is always playable.
Yeah, so you can kind of just ignore the rest of that text, I think, is probably the way that I would evaluate this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I don't know what we're doing with the rest of the text is the reality here. I don't know what blue-black self-mill...
There's no flashback?
Nope.
So there's... And maybe
it's a domain enabler, or like it's the Sultai we were talking about before?
Yeah. Look, it puts lands in the graveyard for Urg. There you go. That's something it does.
It does. Yeah, it doesn't excite me.
No. But look, Golgari for a 1/2 Merfolk Looter in limited is
blue-black,
fine.
not Golgari.
Sorry. Yep. Dimir. Yeah. So that is okay. And if you look at it in that context, I think that's a really good evaluation, Cracker. And sometimes you might drain your opponent for 1, and then you might be able to get a really important spell back. That may or may not win you the game later on. Like if you were playing like Grixis and you had a burn spell, and you needed to lightning strike them for lethal, paying 4 for your lightning strike. Happy for that if it wins me the game.
Yep, exactly right. I mean, you got to look at it with Rona had some incremental chip ping damage as well. So, I mean, maybe there's more that we're just not seeing. You know, obviously we're only looking at a really small set of these cards tonight. So there may be something in Dimir that kind of draws us further into that, but it's minimal upside.
Yeah, Plunksy's saying, if you got duplicate legendaries, sometimes you just got to pitch them.
Yeah, that's true. And look, looting is actually an excellent ability.
Yeah, always loot is definitely one of the best pieces of advice.
Good heuristic.
Yep, absolutely.
Talk to me about this next one.
So Zar Ojanen, scion of Efrava. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
You can tell that we've had a lot of magic cards with a lot of names because they're just like word souping them. 3 and Selesnya for a 4/4. So 5 mana 4/4 with for a legendary creature, Cat Warrior with Domain. When this becomes tapped, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with toughness less than the number of basic land types among creatures you control. This dude's pretty good. So again, this is the sort of card. This is exactly the card that I want to enlist. I just want to make all of my things bigger, and that means it's going to get many uses out of it because this thing isn't necessarily getting into combat.
Yep.
And the creatures that you're leaving back on defense are growing, and then on each, so it doesn't say each other creature. So you've got to be 5 colors to make this guy a 5/5. Like it's, but if you're making all of those 1/1s from all of those other cards that we spoke about,
token generators,
2/2s, 3/3s really quickly, and you can have an enormous board. So, flying 4/4, 5/5 lands with Tatiova,
sure,
pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the one that's jumping out to me here is like Naya tokens, as far as the color combos. I think that seems like a really strong archetype just from looking at these uncommons. You don't need all the pieces. You just need like any pick 2.
Absolutely.
Pick any 2, and because they're uncommons, you're seeing a lot of packs. There's a good chance you might be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And if you think about sort of the likely game pattern or play patterns with those decks, is your setup is casting tokens, but then you're going to get some attacks in with your enlist creatures, and you might be able to get in 7-8 damage, or cause some bad blocks from your opponent and things like that, and then the game will shift away from that single large attacker to the army that you've grown over time whilst you've been doing that. So I think that's pretty cool. Like that's a pretty fun play experience to go. Got my I'm sending in my champion whilst the rest of my team is being trained and getting bigger, and then you've got that sort of alpha strike going. So I don't mind that at all.
No, it seems good. So I think that is the end of the uncommon multicolors that we've got. So the next thing I want to jump down to, actually, no, I'm not going to read about the boat, is fixing. Let's talk about fixing, Chew. So we've spent a lot of time talking about all the different types of multicolor combinations that we can get up to. How are we going to do that?
So the cycle of common dual lands is great. So what have we got? Contaminated Aquifer, Geothermal Bog, Molten Tributary, Idyllic Beachfront, all the rest of it, that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
They come into play tapped, but they tap for 2 colors. That is like the bog standard common land that we see, but these have basic types: plains, island, swamp mountain, swamp forest, etc. So they're going to turn on your domain, and they're at common. You'll easily pick up 3-4 of these over the course of your draft, and in sealed you're probably going to get 3 or 4 out of your packs pretty easily. And look, I would say maybe you get one of these in every pack on average, right? Or at least
does this replace
5 out of every 6
common land slot?
I think it may do. I haven't read that yet, but if there's one of these in every pack, Mana fixing is going to be really, really easy. So that is a huge way to have really good limited fixing.
Yeah.
And then there's Crystal Grotto, which is kind of that like next tier down. And we had Shimmering Grotto in the past, and this one is exactly the same, but it has a scry on it, so it's an improved version. So I like that. So it's a filter land, and
sorry, just to read it, because it says, so when it enters the battlefield, scry 1, it taps to add colorless, or you can it is colorless, or tap or 1 tap to add a mana of any color. So it costs you 2 mana to make one of a specific color. Sometimes you just have to do that, right? Which is why she was saying it's a step down. I mean, this would be the last one that you would kind of want to pick up. You'd take any single on color of your other basic, or the common land cycle here, sorry.
So fun fact cracker.
Yeah.
So Shimmering Grotto. I've gone undefeated day 1 at a Grand Prix with a Shimmering Grotto in my deck. Yeah. I had a very specific red and black color requirements, and it meant I could cast my dreads. So plural.
Yeah.
Dreads.
Okay. It's not bad, but it's not great fixing, because you are.
No, I don't love it.
No, I know you don't, but it's again, like, if we're looking at these are really intensive mana requirements.
If I'm playing 5 color, I'm probably going to jam one of these in my deck.
Maybe you might not have room for it.
Yeah,
I think if you're a 2 or 3 color, if you're a 3 color, you would definitely play 1. 2 color, I probably wouldn't. 5 color, I think maybe not as well, just because I'm going to try and pick up as many of these other ones that make mana, without having to be down the mana.
Yeah. There's also, it's worth just pointing out that Pain Lands are in the rare slot, so you may get one. They may be relevant, they may not be. I love them. I love them in standard. Maybe I'll play it if it's in my main colors, but if I'm trying to domain things, then I'd rather one of the tap lands, honestly.
Yep, for sure. All right, so that is kind of also just just these.
Yeah, we can all appreciate those.
Yeah.
They're great.
So it looks like there are still basics in the set, so it won't really be replacing that slot entirely, but you'll probably see a lot of the commons there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the main things that I wanted to cover off tonight. I'm happy to scroll through and look for other cards, but again, there's 260 something cards in the set. We're not going to try and go through all of them.
Well, maybe what we can do now is, based on what we've seen, what are you most excited about drafting?
So obviously I love Is It Spells, like that's just kind of my jam. But these go wide decks seem really good. I feel like they've just got a lot of support across multiple different uncommons.
Yeah, so the Naya one that you mentioned seems like be a really good aggro deck. I'm actually, and I think Hemsy said like Sultai is something that's appealing to him. I'm thinking Abzan. Yeah. So you get the recursive graveyard shenanigans from the Golgari cards. So you can outlast the more aggressive, particularly the red-black deck.
Yep.
But you're still getting the token generation to be able to tangle with the go wider decks. So yeah, that's what I'm, just based on the uncommons.
Okay.
That's what I'm kind of excited about. But I also share your enthusiasm for the blue-red the blue-red spells deck as well. I know it's something that is Hemsy's saying that he likes the Abzan as well. So you get all the green-white token creators, but also the black-white ones as well. So predominantly white splashing, but with black and green. So I can see that being something that people try early, and is potentially one of the better archetypes.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed with Dimir.
Yeah.
That just doesn't grab me as having a home right now. It doesn't feel like there's a clean splash into any of the other colors. I guess you go, Grixis, so adding red for other spells, or adding white to go into Esper. Seem like they're sort of the two homes to branch off from there, but they're not as synergistic. I mean, yes, they are related about, like instants and sorceries. We talked about that before.
But the payoff's not that exciting.
Well, and they feel a little bit at odds. Like the blue-red deck is wants to be assertive, wants to be aggressive, whereas the blue-black cards are just, they feel more controlling. So I don't know. It feels like some tension there that isn't quite lining up perhaps how you'd like if you wanted to splash into those color combinations. So you mentioned Lords before. What Lords do we actually have? Yeah, let's talk about that, because they are very much in this set. Let me see if I can work out how we can find them.
So yeah, there's a cycle of tribal lords, right? So
there is, and the search is not working.
The search is not because they're images. Yeah. So there's a goblin one. It's a 2 mana.
I'm assuming it's in red. Let's just see if we can find it. Well, actually, so there's one in each color, right?
Yeah.
So let's just start from the top, and we can kind of work our way down and see if there's anything that leaps out at us.
Yep.
Captain's
it's like a soldier thing.
Create 3 white soldier token creatures.
Yeah, at common. So yeah, there you go. So that is definitely something that works really well with the. Yep, absolutely. There's a 4 mana 2/2 flying enlist at uncommon as well. So that's pretty great.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect to pick up all those other things. Heroic charge, worth knowing about. So
creatures you control get. Yep.
Yeah. So 2 white for an instant. It says creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn, and then it has kicker of red and 1, and it says if this spell was kicked, then those creatures also get trample until end of turn. So
I like.
This is great.
Yeah,
just go wide finisher, instant, dead you.
Yeah, and that's the sort of, you want one of those in your red white decks. Yep. Griffin Protector. I've just scrolled back up again. 4 mana 2/3 flyer. When another creature enters the battlefield under your control, gets +1/+1. Great way to force through damage.
Yep.
With your token creators. That is good. So I'm just looking for the.
So the other thing that we should probably keep an eye out for is the common removal spells. Is also another, or uncommon, but just they're really good.
Destroy evil. Fine.
Yeah, it's not great, but it just kind of.
It's versatile, right? It's modal.
Yeah, it just reminded me that's another thing that you should look towards being drawn into a color. You don't always open a pack with an uncommon signpost card, right? Like, it would be lovely if you're just like, I get to pick one of these great things. There's a lot, so there's a pretty good chance. But you also need to go, is that better than just Doomblade or Lightning Strike? Like, we know Lightning Strike's in the set. That's a really good card. Like, is there something in here that just makes me want to pack one, pick one, commit to multiple colors? And that's something that you need to work out. Like, sometimes it's not the best to first pick one of those uncommons because
they're very color specific.
They are, and it can force you can get tied to your first pick so easily. And I'm as guilty of this as anybody. Where you're just like, oh, this is amazing, I am now this deck, and it doesn't come together, and you kind of railroaded your draft. So sometimes being open in those first couple of picks is really good, and then you get one of those uncommons, third or fourth pick, and you're like, okay, well, no one else is doing this thing. Let me get into it, and it can show you a lane.
Yep.
All right.
I like it.
What else have we got? A bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Crying kids upstairs.
Yeah, that's fine.
Maybe we haven't seen the Lord yet. I'm not sure.
No, the full set is out. Here it is.
Other soldiers you can get.
This is Valiant Veteran, yeah. So 1 and a white, it's a rare. Other soldiers you control get +1/+1. And then you can pay 5.
Exile it from your graveyard. Yeah.
Put a +1/+1 on each soldier. Yeah, it's okay. There's not a lot of soldiers, actually. Apart from the tokens, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting combat trick here. Take up the shield, 1 and a white. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You're going to try first blue-white early in a draft. Yeah, okay. What else have we got here?
Essence Scatter, something to be aware of.
Yep.
At
Absolutely.
common.
What's this?
Impulse at common. Very good in the blue-red spell stack.
Impulse is amazing. Impede Momentum we talked about before. Negate back again. As usual, we tend to see that one a fair bit.
The Micromancer, 4 mana 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for an instant or sorcery card with mana value 1. Reveal it and put it into your hand. What do we have? We've got Shore Up, Arona's Vortex. We'll have to have a look at.
It's one of those scryfall searches where you're like, because it doesn't have to be blue either. So you
no, that's right.
Spells and all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Yep, but something to be aware of when you're building your decks.
Yep.
3 mana 3/2 flyer, right? Like we have Windrake with an extra toughness, absolutely playable.
Tolarian Terror. I'm interested in this thing in standard. Don't worry about limited. But yeah, 6 mana 5/5 with Ward 2, and this spell costs 1 less for each instant or sorcery card in your graveyard. I mean, you're not going to get it down to being like a blue mana, but if you can pay 4 or 5 for this, a 5 mana with Ward 2, a 5/5 with Ward 2 is that's a finisher.
So if you've got Opt, Lightning Strike, some counter magic, some bounce spells with your Delver-esque, whether you play Delver or not, but Delver-esque strategy.
Yep.
You could cast this for 2 or 3 mana.
In standard? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about even in limited, sometimes it's just a big enough body, right?
If you're playing a 5 mana 5/5 with Ward 2 in limited, woo, that's great. Yeah.
That is a house, and that will just end games. Just hard to deal with. All right. So it looks like they're all in the rare slot here. So we've got Voldalian Hexcatcher, which is 1 and a blue for a 1/1 flash. Other merfolk you control get +1/+1. And then sacrifice a merfolk, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller plays 1.
These feel like they're solely constructed cards because there's
really do.
there's and there's merfolk, up the rarity scale in the set, but you're not going to end up with 10 merfolk in your blue deck, right?
No,
and there's no merfolk in red, so in your blue-red deck or whatever your color combination is. Yep. So
exactly.
Yep. So I don't know how much limited impact these would really have. Although this guy as a Force Spike probably playable.
Yeah,
so,
it seems fine.
Yeah.
What else have we got here? So we're down into the black cards now.
Bone Splinters being
always
with all of the token synergies seems really, really good.
Yeah, seems great. What else have we got? We're talking about so Battlefly Swarm. Black for a 1/1 with flying. Black, it gains death touch until end of turn. So we're talking
great defensive
about
creature.
Just annoying creatures to attack into, or sacrifice fodder. You just want a critical mass of these things in that black-white token sacrifice deck, whatever that ends up looking like.
Yep. Choking Miasma is an interesting one. So all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. So that's the Pyroclasm that you were kind of referring to, but I mean it's whatever the black one version of that is. But the kicker is if this was kicked, put a +1 counter on a creature you control, so you can save one of your 2/2s whilst wiping out your opponent's tokens. So
yeah, its kicker is green as well. So this is in the
Golgari card.
Correct.
Yep. And it's got the legend from the last.
It does. We were talking
set.
about him before.
Yeah, the Saproling guy.
Yep. I want to say Slogark, but I don't think that's quite right. Something like
that. That's the name that came to mind, but I wasn't sure if that was the right one. Cut Down is a uncommon. We might see that.
Yeah, definitely.
Cult Conscript. Yep.
So
Cult Conscript enters tapped for 1 mana for a 2/1, and then black and 1, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. only if a non-skeleton creature died this turn. So we've seen cards like this actually make their way to constructed with
Reassembling skeleton.
Yeah, but there was the zombie one and things, and there's a sacrifice, red black sacrifice deck, only cult anvils and things that will probably still exist in some form post rotation. Whether it's still good or not, I don't know. But this seems like a way to get in some early beats. You play this on turn 1, doesn't really matter that it comes in untapped, tapped. But then you can, get some additional value out of it over the course of the game. And, it is just, even though it's small, it is a recursive body in limited as well. So pretty good thing to sacrifice to your bone splinters.
It sure is.
For example. Yep.
And J-Mud arrives right on time. It is Slimefoot. That was the card.
Yes. Thank you, J-Mud.
How you doing, buddy? Good to see you in here. Talking about limited. I'm sure you're all over this already. Chewy said cut down before. I mean, we talked about it, and we will talk about it more for constructed. It seems like an excellent card. Instant destroy target creature with total power and toughness 5 or less.
Just good card.
It's just a good card. Yeah, there's not a lot more to be said about that one. What other things are there that we're seeing here?
I like if there's a sacrifice synergy deck. If you scroll up, go back to that wall. Gibbering Barricade, 2 mana, 2/4, Defender, sacrifice a creature, you gain a life and draw a card. That's just if there is like a Dimir control deck that's going long, or if you are playing Abdam with a bunch of tokens, this is a fine effect. And one of my all-time favorite limited cards is directly below it. So
Rager.
Yeah. 3 mana, 2/2. When it comes into play, you draw a card and lose a life. It's just good.
It's better than you think it is.
Yeah, much, much better. So if you're playing black, play Phyrexian Rager. That's If you take away nothing else from this stream, that
you're just never mad to play this card. Like it's good early. Turn 3, it's a 2/2, fine stats. But just the fact that it replaces itself is just huge.
Yeah,
like it's
absolutely.
It's so innocuous because it's a common, but like it's just great.
It's 2 cards, like straight up. It's just 2 cards. Yep, so for black and a 2, so that's a pretty great deal.
All right, what else have we got here? Kind of scrolling through. I mean, obviously this is interesting. Toxic Abomination, 1 and a black. At common for a 3/2, when Toxic Abomination enters the battlefield, you lose 2 life. I see this in a Rakdos deck because that's overcosted stats wise, and you just want to get people dead.
Interesting art.
It's sure is. It's a Phyrexian zombie.
Yeah,
that's the thing I don't know we needed, but here we are.
Yeah, it's got some Ryuk vibes. There you go. Interesting. But there you go. So there's we could spend the whole night sort of going through these, but I actually I was going to try to wrap it up, but if I'm thinking it's the right card, Gitu Amplifier, 1 and a red for a 1/2 human wizard with kicker. 2 and a blue. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target creature and opponent controls what's on his hand. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So it's a great 2-drop in the blue-red spells deck because it attacks early and aggressively.
Yep.
But if you draw it late, then you get to bounce stuff, and then it can do its attacking. So I like that card a lot. That one jumped out at me when we were thinking about blue-red spells. So that will be a 2-drop that deck plays quite a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Hammerhand, really good combat trick. So it's an aura, it's red mana. Enchant creature, when Hammerhand enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has haste. So you just slap it on your Gitu Amplifier. it's a 2/3, and then it's attacking as a 4/3. It can't be blocked. Yeah, it'll get people dead pretty quickly.
I like it.
All right. So, is there anything else that you wanted to kind of? What's your vibe on the set? Let's kind of wrap it up and.
I'm pumped. Absolutely pumped for the set. The flavor. It feels probably a little bit less Dominaria than the last set felt.
Because it's got all the vaccines and stuff in it?
Yeah, probably. It probably is less Dominaria in that sense, so that makes sense. But the card design and the mechanics are exciting. I like them a lot. I like the the different takes on familiar mechanics, so they're different enough to feel new without being overpowered or complete misses, for the most part at least. I'm excited that this set gets introduced into standard and we have a rotation. Lots of things like that. So I'm pumped. And the limited format looks super cool. Like looking at the archetypes and the synergies and sort of what we can expect just by our little exercise tonight. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped to play in our 1 day event that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So that'll be really cool. We talked about it at the start, but it's worth bringing up again. I might just.
You want to bring up the challenge?
I don't have the challenge. I could bring up the website, but I was going to actually just do this and bring it to just big us. All right, so yeah, we've got
MagicBeanscast.com.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Excellent. Brought to you by Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, of course.
Yeah. So we've got an upcoming 1 day event, which is on the 10th, and it's going to be sealed this time. So this is the first time we've done a limited 1 day event. Basically, you'll have to enter a sealed event. It'll cost you 2,000 gems. I don't think it'll be on gold at that stage. It's right at the start of the format, so you kind of have to pony up some of your hard-earned gems, but you'll get to basically build from your sealed pool and then challenge people directly, and it'll be a lot of fun. So there'll be some requirements around taking screenshots or exports of your deck list to make sure that we're kind of doing things fairly, and then you can just get to battle. But this set looks really good. I'm hoping I'll get to do it. I don't think I've got any plans that weekend yet, but that remains to be seen as what family does. But this set looks amazing. I haven't been thrilled to play limited for the last little bit, but this set kind of really piqued my attention, and going through this exercise makes it even more so. Like, just knowing that Dominaria is historically really good for draft and for sealed as well, but then like spending the time and looking at all this stuff kind of just makes me like, yeah, I want to put these things together. I want to see what I can get up to. So come hang out,
absolutely,
and do this sealed event with us. I'm just trying to see if I can actually bring up the website. There you go.
There you go. That's it. And if you go to tournament series, transition the.
Bam. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So we got the tournament series here, and then you can just scroll down. So this is part of our ongoing tournament series we talk about all the time. We've just played our league final. We're going to have another one coming up now in a few weeks, which will be standard because Dominaria and rotation. Looks like it'll be a lot of fun to get into. And you can click on this one and it'll take you to challenge, and challenge will then let you register. You can see there's some people already got their names in. We've got a few. I think it's $250 in cash and prizes or thereabouts,
plus on stream giveaways. All part of and the more players that register, the more invitational points, and we're doing participation points for our 1 day events now as a bit of an incentive. So our the race for the invitational is really tight. You could really throw a blanket over a lot of players who could make the invitational, and that's just strict value, including getting to make your own custom token through Josh and Pat. So jump in, just secure your point Then the top 3 will get invitational points, and then we've got another league that'll come out in a couple of weeks as well, in line with the Dominaria set. So even if you're brand new to the beans and you haven't been playing for the year, you can still do exactly what
did it, right? Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like joins an event, wins it, lock in a seat at the invitational table, and took away like $140 in cash. And then I think we gave $3,000 worth of cash and prizes away at last year's invitational.
Yep.
So
and we're well on track to do that again this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So so anybody who throws us a sub on Twitch or a donation or buys merch, all of that goes into our tournament series as prizes, as well as the guys directly below me, Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. They look after us really, really well and allow us to do these tournaments with such amazing price support. So, and free to enter. Also, I don't know if we mentioned that, but everything we're talking about, which sounds great, it's actually free to enter. All you need to do is jump onto our Discord, which is where all the comms happen, and just so happens that the limited channel on our Discord is like popping. So if you are interested in limited, you want to play some Dominaria, you want to share your decks, you want to share your good beat, bad beat stories, ask for advice. We've got some super experienced limited aficionados and us.
I was going to say not us, but actual people who are good at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is the place to be. So come and hang out. Super fun.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you very much for hanging out. If you're listening to this on a podcast form, thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. We will have our normal cast, which we record on Thursday night, and we'll get more into constructed at this point. We'll get into what we see for rotation, all the cards that are dropping out, and the impact that will have. There's a couple of really powerful sets. Kaldheim is disappearing amongst a couple of others, and there's some big holes that are going to be there, and it'll be interesting to see what Dominaria brings to fill those.
I might actually want to play standard. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely piques interest again. To kind of get all these new toys. So check out the cast. That'll go up late Thursday night Australia time, usually around 11 or 12, and then Friday morning. Otherwise, we're streaming Shorty's on every Monday night. He's been streaming really consistently. He's loving Explorer. I think we'll probably get a little bit more of that out of him before standard kicks in. We usually will take a little bit of time to work out what to invest our precious wild cards into, because ain't nobody got a lot of those, and rare lands eat a whole lot of them. But come check us out right here, twitch.tv, Magic Beans Cast. If you want to find us other places, it's Magic Beans Cast kind of everywhere, YouTube, Facebook, all those kinds of things. But thank you everyone. Really appreciate hanging out. It's nice to do this. I had fun, man. Thank you for hanging out, Chew. It was always a pleasure to talk Magic with you.
Yeah, it's good to hang out, mate. And as we said right at the top, it had been like 4 days. So I was missing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Good to see you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you hanging out, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. I have stopped the stream.